We are back on record after a tape change at 2:13 p.m.
Still under oath, right, Mr. Hobbs?
Yes, sir.
When you first saw or first learned of the letter that Ms. Pasdar posted on the Dixie Chicks website in late November or early December of '07, did you make any effort to reach out to Ms. Pasdar or the Dixie Chicks?
No, sir.
Why not?
Why should I?
To see why they posted it? To get them to retract it? Did you take any effort to communicate with them whatsoever?
I shouldn't have to. I shouldn't be in that position.
So I take it your answer to my question is no. You didn't.
Exactly.
Okay.
They interfered in my business, our family's business. We've done nothing to them.
What else? Anything else?
Nope.
Why do you think the little boys were murdered?
I don't know why.
How do you think they were murdered?
I don't know how.
When were they murdered?
I'm not sure about that either.
Where were they murdered?
I think West Memphis. I don't know.
Who murdered them?
3 young men in prison.
Is it a matter of, do you believe, sir, that it's a matter of public concern as to who murdered the 3 little boys?
Object to the extent
Just
for a legal conclusion.
asking his opinion. Does he have an opinion as to whether or not it's a matter of public concern to get to the truth of who murdered the 3 little boys?
It doesn't matter what I think. They're going to get involved anyway.
It's not my question. Sir, would you answer my question?
Same objection.
Repeat the question.
Is it a matter of public concern as to who murdered the 3 little boys?
Shouldn't be,
Repeat
but
the
it is.
objection.
Shouldn't be, but it is. Why shouldn't it be a matter of public concern as to who committed 3 heinous murders?
Because there's 3 bastards sitting in prison for it today.
And that was that trial back in '94 was a matter of national and international concern, was it not?
So,
So it was a matter of public concern back when the West Memphis 3 were tried and convicted, but it's not a matter of public concern now if there are questions about the sufficiency of the verdict and the trial and the evidence?
I'm happy with the trials.
I understand that, but my question is it your testimony that it was a matter of public concern at the original trial, but it's not a matter of public concern today?
It doesn't matter to me what the public thinks about it.
You told us earlier that it's not a matter of public concern now because there was a trial. And my question to you, sir, is was it a matter of public concern in the early to mid-'90s when there was a trial, but it's not a matter of public concern now?
I don't know.
Objection to the extent that calls for a legal conclusion.
Asking for this witness's opinion.
I don't know.
Okay, so you don't know if it's a matter of public concern about who murdered the 3 little boys today.
There's 3 boys sitting in prison today.
Is it possible, Mr. Hobbs, that they were wrongfully convicted?
Not in my opinion.
Is it possible that while you may believe and have the opinion that they were properly tried and properly convicted, you'll acknowledge, won't you, sir, that others have an entirely different opinion?
Everybody's entitled to their own,
Opinion. And everybody's entitled to express that opinion, are they not?
to some degree.
Okay. And it is a matter of public concern. You would agree with me, sir, that it's a matter of public concern about whether or not the West Memphis 3 were wrongfully tried and convicted of murder. That can be an issue of public debate, can it not?
A low mentality public, probably.
Okay. Your wife Pam's entitled to her opinion as to whether or not the West Memphis 3 were wrongfully tried and convicted, are they not?
She is.
And you're entitled to your opinion as to whether or not they were wrongfully tried and convicted, correct?
I am.
I'm sorry?
I am.
And your wife Pam's entitled to her opinion as to whether or not you were involved.
She
in the
is
murder
entitled.
Right. And Ms. Pasdar is entitled to her opinion as to whether or not the West Memphis Three were wrongfully convicted, is she not?
She is.
Okay. And the Dixie Chicks are entitled to their to have an opinion as to whether or not the West Memphis Three were wrongfully convicted, correct?
They are.
Will those be offered as deposition exhibits?
Oh, these are all deposition exhibits.
Okay.
I don't know that I need to offer them under the federal rules. They're just exhibits.
But they will be attached to the deposition.
Oh, absolutely. Paragraph 19 to your complaint, sir, that you reviewed and approved prior to the time it was filed, you state that Ms. Pasdar's repeated libelous publications concerning the involvement of plaintiff, which is you, was, among other things, false and reckless at the time of publication. And my question to you, sir, is what facts do you have to support your belief that her statements were reckless?
Because she don't know what she's talking about.
How do you know that?
Because she's accusing me.
Other than the fact that you don't think
And
she
I
looked,
know that I didn't do this.
do you know what she looked at?
I don't even care
You don't care.
what she looked at.
The fact that, in your opinion, she's wrong makes it reckless.
Sure, why not?
Do you have any reason to believe that she knew that what she was saying was false at the time she said it?
I had
To
no
the extent that it calls
recollection.
for a legal
I mean, you
conclusion.
have no factual basis to say that Ms. Pasdar knew that what she was saying was false at the time she said it, do you?
Objection to the extent that it calls for a legal conclusion.
Asking for facts, counsel.
I would think that she probably read the police report where they said that he wasn't a suspect then, he ain't now, and then she just shot off.
Do you know that she read the police report?
I don't. Do you?
I see. I get to ask the questions. That's the great thing about today, Mr. Hobbs. Is I get to ask the
I
questions.
don't know that she didn't.
Do you know that if she looked at the press release?
I don't know what she looked at.
Do you know if she watched the press conference?
I don't know what she watched.
Do you know who she talked to, if anyone, on behalf of the defense team?
I don't know.
So as we sit here today, you have no facts that would support your belief that Ms. Pasdar knew that what she was saying was false at the time she said it.
Same objection as earlier.
Right?
I don't know where she get her information from, but she should have talked to somebody who knew about it.
My question, I need you to answer my question because it's an important question, Mr. Hobbs, which is, do you have any facts or do you have any documents that support your allegation that Ms. Pasdar knew that the facts that she was stating on either her letter or at the rally were false at the time she made it?
Same objection.
You don't, do you?
I don't know where she gets her information from.
Okay. You just know you didn't do it. And you just know it's not your DNA. Do you know it's not your DNA? You don't know one way or another if it's your DNA, do you?
Well, I've never been convinced it was mine. The police have never pulled me in there and said it's yours.
And that's not my question. My question is, you don't know for a fact that it's not yours, do you?
I don't know it is. I don't know if it's not.
Paragraph 21, Mr. Hobbs. The acts of the defendants have caused you to suffer personal injuries. Right? That's what you say. Right?
And
What personal injuries?
Emotional.
What other personal injuries?
Dealing with my family over it. Watching my kids go through it. That causes some problems too.
Emotional. How have your emotional injuries manifested themselves? And is this separate from the personal breakdown you had in March when you lived in the back of your car?
Okay.
Is it? Or are these the same emotional injuries?
No, I've had to deal with a lot of things through all this.
And I am sympathetic and appreciate that. I really am. But my question to you, sir, is representing my client, is trying to figure out what emotional damages you have suffered as a result of the statements that my client made, as opposed to the national and international scrutiny that's been going on for months and months and months prior to the time that my client had anything to say.
Objection to the extent that calls for a legal conclusion.
Simply asking you what damages you have suffered.
Same objection.
I don't know.
Can you sit here? Can you point to me one damage that is separate and apart from all of the things that we talked about starting in the summer and the spring of '07 that is caused as a result of what Ms. Pasdar said?
Objection requires, to the extent that requires a legal conclusion.
I'm not asking for a legal conclusion, counsel.
Sure you
I'm
are.
asking
You're
for the
him,
facts.
You're asking for him to apply the facts to the law of causation.
I'm
And he doesn't
asking
know
for
what
facts.
proximate cause
I'm
is.
just asking for facts.
You're linking the facts you're asking to causation, which is a legal concept, which he's not required to address.
Can you answer the question, Mr. Hobbs?
No.
No? Have you been to any doctors since November of '07?
I have a doctor friend I called,
What doctor from?
Mike Mitchell. He wanted me to come in and visit with him. I was aggravated and mad and would not go. I just wanted him to give me something for my blood pressure.
Okay. So you didn't go?
No.
Have you sought and received any care from a physician due to this emotional distress?
No, but I could.
But you
I
haven't,
just
as you sit
don't
here today.
believe in too much doctrine.
Okay. Are you able, Mr. Hobbs, to separate the emotional injury that you suffered as a result of the underlying murders themselves as opposed to what Ms. Pasdar said in November of '07?
Objection to the extent that calls for a legal conclusion.
Just ask if you can separate that injury.
I'm going to say no.
Can you separate it from the stress and the emotional toil that I'm sure the trials themselves put upon you and your family?
Nope.
How about the ongoing appeals by the three boys? Can you separate that out?
No one's ever brought my name into it up until '07.
My question, sir, is are you able to separate the injury, the emotional
No.
injury, between the ongoing appeals and what Ms. Pasdar said?
Nope. Because they've been going before she come along.
What about the anxiety and distress and injury that your interaction with the defense team and their investigators has caused you? Ron Lax.
Caused me a lot of problems.
Matter of fact, you've testified, or not testified, you quoted in a newspaper article saying they ruined your life.
They helped.
Hell, and the Mr. Reardon and the defense counsel, they've ruined your life.
They had a part of it too.
Are you able to distinguish any of that, the ruining of your life, by the investigators or the defense counsel from the letter that Ms. Pasdar posted on the website or the statement that she made at the rally?
You put them all together, and I shouldn't have a life, should I?
Didn't say that. I certainly didn't say that. That wasn't my question. My question
That's
is,
how it is.
my question is, can you separate it out?
I don't have to.
Can you? I'm asking you if you
No.
can. Can you separate out the emotional injury that you have suffered as a result of the countless newspaper, media, television articles about the murder, the appeals, and quite frankly, the recent connection of your DNA to the crime scene, separate and apart from that which Ms. Pazdar's letter or statement at the rally?
Nope.
You state any other than talk about personal injuries, talked about emotional injury. Any other personal injuries, Mr. Hobbs? Or is that pretty much it from the personal injury side?
I don't know.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's it? Okay. Talks about the next one, injury to your reputation. How has Ms. Pazdar's statement in the letter or at the rally injured your reputation as compared?
Just add injury to injury is what it does.
Add injury to injury. Because Ms. Pazdar certainly wasn't saying anything new, was she?
No,
And all it was just one more celebrity.
let's kick him while he's down.
Well, it was one more celebrity asking folks to become involved, to send money in and make the politicians aware of what was going on. That's what she was doing, wasn't it?
With nothing
Object to the
going on.
characterization of the letter.
There wasn't anything going on? They hadn't
It's-
filed the habeas? There
I
wasn't?
don't know.
there
They're
wasn't-
just trying to make a bunch of nothing out of nothing.
Why would she do that?
Ask her.
Well, I'm asking you, do you
I
have an
don't
opinion
know
as to why she thinks she
I
would do
don't
that?
care why. She needs to mind her own business.
Because it's none of her business if you were involved.
I wasn't involved, and her saying I was, she
It's-
needs to understand that.
It's none of her business if three innocent teenagers, what were young teens, now young adults, sit in jail for crimes they didn't commit. That's not her business, is it?
And then maybe she needs to address that and leave me out of it.
What was your reputation? I just want you to tell me what your reputation was prior to November the 26th, 2007, Mr. Hobbs. Taking into account your whole life experience and everybody that knew you, what was your reputation?
Pretty screwed up one, ain't it?
Is that your answer?
Nope,
Oh, okay.
that's off the record.
And then it's not off the record. And honestly, I would agree that's pretty screwed up.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you?
Seems like the more people gets a hold of it, they try to make it the worse for you.
Well,
But
you've got
before
out.
that-
You've had out. Go ahead. I'm sorry. What was your
Go ahead.
What was your reputation in the community prior to November the 26th, 2007, Mr.
A
Hobbs?
man that's been through hell.
Okay. And what was your reputation after Miss Hobbs made the statement and appeared at the rally? It's the same, wasn't it?
Miss Pastar.
Miss Pazdar. That was after Miss Pazдар posted her letter and spoke at the rally. Reputation was the same, wasn't it?
Let's kick him while he's down.
But had your reputation changed?
Couldn't get any better.
Couldn't get any worse, could it? Or could it?
Yeah, it could get worse.
Could it get worse?
The more big mouths out there shooting off, yeah, it gets worse.
Okay. You'll agree that you'd led a, shall we say, a colorful life?
I've had a good life up until the murders of our little boy.
And then it all went south, didn't it?
It could have been better.
Arrested for drug use and possession.
Half a joint.
Accused of molesting your teenage daughter.
A bunch.
Divorced. Bankruptcy. Lawsuits. You shot your brother-in-law. You're nationally connected through international press in the summer of '07 with DNA, your DNA at a crime scene, the murder of your little boy and 2 other little boys.
Object, compound question.
And,
That was your reputation prior to November of '07, wasn't it?
Same objection.
And it's the same. How can it get worse?
it would get better if people would quit jumping on the bandwagon.
How could it get worse? How did what Ms. Pazdar say damage your reputation any more than what the conduct that you had led through the last 15 years done?
She just pulls more in people, influence in that people don't even pay attention until celebrities get on board.
So she threw light on the subject.
She didn't throw light on nothing. She shot off.
My question to you, sir, is how did your reputation change, other than the fact that Ms. Pazdar shot off and brought more people to look at the West Memphis 3 website and what went on, which is what she said. Look at the website. Look at the evidence. Look at the habeas corpus, the court pleadings, and make a judgment for yourself. How is that any different than throwing light on the facts and asking people to make their own minds up? How did that damage your reputation?
'Cause people tend to believe celebrities. Even though some of them don't know what they're talking about, people will follow their stories.
Any other way that your reputation was harmed, Mr. Hobbs?
Ain't no telling.
No, this is the time to tell.
There ain't no telling.
Can you
Ain't no telling what other quacks out there quacking off.
Can you articulate for me any other way? This is my one chance. Before you get up on the witness stand, take the oath again in front of a federal court judge and swear what went on. This is my chance to find out how you believe you've been harmed. And so I want to know how your reputation has
I've been threatened. Has anyone told you that?
No, sir.
I have been.
Who threatened you?
Some quack on the internet.
When did this happen?
There's a police report over there. It's the second police report that I couldn't think about.
Okay.
There's a police report about it.
All right. When did this happen?
A couple months ago.
Okay.
And these people are reading everything they see on the internet and forming an opinion. Okay? And now they're threatening me over this crap. And don't sit here and try to get me to feel good about it, because I don't. And this woman shooting off like she has no right to jump in on there and do this.
We need both police reports, obviously.
Oh yeah, I guarantee you they're at the police department.
Any other damage to your reputation, sir? Anything else you want to tell me? You're going to tell the jury about how you've been harmed as a result of my client's conduct.
No comment. No, I don't know.
No? Okay. A third element of your damage is here, Mr. Hobbs. You say that your injury to your business and professional and business. You've got professional and business damages. All right. Well, what professional and business damage, and I'm reading from paragraph 21, what professional and business damages do you have that you're seeking to recover? Any?
It'd be nice to see people quit coming in my business and saying, do you see what they're on TV saying about this man today? They're talking to me and they're talking about me, threatening it, making their threats. It'd be nice if these people way back here,
Which people?
wherever it is, it'd be nice if, I don't have the Dixie Chicks report, but it'd be nice if them people back there would quit doing what they're doing so I can go to work and not have to worry about people coming in my place of business and threatening the person. They don't even know who it is, and it's me. Because of everything that has happened in the past. That happens.
What happens?
Well, I just told you.
Oh, that happens. Okay. So it's happened more than the fellow from Australia?
Exactly.
How many times?
I don't keep up with them. I get tired of them.
More than 5? More than 10? Once a month? Once a year? How often does it happen, Mr.
Just
Hobbs?
like I told you, I don't keep up with them.
Well, I'm trying to get a sense for how often folks come into your business and hassle you.
I don't have to just say, there's people sit right in there and hear it too.
I'm sorry. Say what? I didn't understand. There are people out here in the conference
There's
room?
people in my work that has sat there and heard the people come in and say stuff about it.
People just talk about you. You don't like it.
They don't even know it's me they're talking about. They're just in there talking about it.
It meaning the West Memphis 3 and
About the new DNA, about the stepdad that they think done it. They're showing his picture all over the news.
Okay. Well, have you been fired from your job because of that?
No.
Okay. Have you lost hours because of it?
Yeah, I've had some problems.
What problems?
Losing time, sleep.
I'm not talking about sleep at the moment. I'm talking about have you lost time from work because people are coming in and hassling you about
No,
it?
I don't lose time. I go back and stay away until people leave.
Okay. You just don't come to. Who's your boss?
His name's Terry Davis.
Where's he work? What's the name of your company right now?
Discount.
You're a salesman?
I am.
What's the business address of your company, sir?
The business what?
Address?
Let's see.
Okay. And what are your duties as a salesman?
Sell products.
Who do you sell product to?
Publix.
Publix grocery?
People.
People in the public. Give me
It's a Home Depot type operation.
Okay, so you basically help people find things. If I need to come in and find something to fix my washer, you
Correct.
help me.
Correct.
Okay. And how long you had that job?
A little over 2 years.
2 years. Oh, what'd you do before?
Courier work.
Courier. What kind of courier work?
Transporting goods from one place to another.
Like a truck driver?
Nope. Courier.
Courier papers?
Papers, letters, boxes. You're on a private contractor.
Okay. Why'd you move from a courier to a salesman? Better job?
No, excuse me. No, that is the time when all this stuff started coming out on the news, and I had made my mind up that I was going to just move and get away from Memphis. I was tired of the crap that was going around on the news.
So you left town and got a different job?
Well, I didn't get to leave town.
Right. But that was your goal. You wanted to leave town.
Right.
So people come in and they want to talk, as you're helping them find stuff to fix the washer and dryer or the sink. And they just, part of the conversation comes up kind of West Memphis 3?
Oh, you wouldn't believe it.
Okay. All right. How often does that happen?
It used to happen quite a bit.
Okay. And they would do that not even knowing that you're Terry Hobbs, right?
Exactly. Just seeing it on the news, they would just come in and start talking about it.
And this has been going on since you got there, right?
I started there just before this started.
All right, and those types of people coming in wanting to talk about the West Memphis 3, that happened pretty much from the get-go when you started?
I started before it started
Okay.
on the news.
Okay. Did that same sort of discussions or community discussion happen while you were a courier?
No, because it hadn't started yet.
It hadn't started yet. It all started in the spring of '07 when the DNA results were released.
Right.
Right. Okay. You have the same position today as when you started in '07?
I do,
Same pay scale?
roughly.
Hadn't been demoted?
No.
Hadn't been promoted?
No.
Just kind of same,
There won't
Status
be
quo?
no promotion there. You're just there.
just status quo?
Yeah.
Okay. How else have you been hurt in your professional or business, Mr. Hobbs?
I don't know.
Well, see, this
Dealing with the public.
is my time to ask, and this is your time to tell me.
I just told you.
Just dealing with the public.
I shouldn't have to deal with the public over this.
Again, in paragraph 23, sir, we're talking about intentional infliction of emotional distress or / outrageous conduct. Paragraph 23, you talk about that Ms. Pazdar's conduct was intentional and reckless. What facts, if any, do you have that demonstrate that her conduct was intentional? You don't have any, do you, other than what you've told me so far?
You'd almost have to think if she didn't intentionally mean to do something, she would never got in here and did what she did.
Okay. Have you told me all the facts as we sit here today on July the 21st, 2009? Have you told me every fact that you know of that you believe supports your allegation that Ms. Pazdar's conduct was intentional with regard to the spreading of lies?
Well, I think it was intentional.
Why do you think that?
Because she shouldn't have never come in here and did what she did.
Okay. And that's the only basis you've got for the intentional, is that she shouldn't have come in and have done what she did, and the basis, and because of that, she intentionally said things that she knew was false. Is that your testimony? Is that the basis of your lawsuit? Well, I mean, this is my chance. Again, this is my chance. You can't say, I don't know. This is my chance to find
Object
out.
to the extent that it calls for legal conclusion. Again, we try to apply the evidence to the proof to get him to admit that the legal standard is improper when he's not required to know the legal standard.
Can you tell me? I'm just trying to find the facts. I'm not trying to
Facts are is in that other page there where your client comes up here, gets in on the bandwagon, bashes me for all the wrong reasons, and you're trying to sit here and justify it.
And you're talking about the rally at that point. When she comes up here, that's the rally, right? And the letter campaign that she asked folks to take a look at it and send letters into the governor. You didn't like that, did you? Draws light of day on things. Draws attention to you.
For all the wrong reasons. Why? Because she says it? Does that make it so?
Any other facts, Mr. Hobbs, that support your belief that she was acting intentionally or recklessly? That's
Had
it.
to ask her.
As you sit here, you know of nothing else.
You had to ask her.
Well, I'm asking you, do you know of anything else?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. And 23, resulting in severe emotional, mental, and physical injuries. Those are the same injuries that we talked about earlier, paragraph
Over and
21.
over.
Any other injuries?
Nope.
Nope.
I don't know. Emotionally, mentally.
I mean, that's the same we talked about, right? It's
Okay.
the same. Well, no, you can't just agree to me. I'm asking you, is it the same damages and harm?
Same.
Nothing new. You have to answer out loud, sir.
No.
Paragraph 25 says that the acts of the defendants place plaintiff in a false light. What false light did the letter place you in?
Object to the extent that it calls for a legal conclusion.
What do you claim? What false light do you claim that the letter placed you in?
Same objection.
That's fine.
She put it out there. People believed it.
Okay.
What do you call that?
Some would call it the truth, sir.
And some call it whatever.
All right. Let's look at Exhibit A, which is the letter. Would you agree with me, sir, that from where her signature is through the top is Ms. Pazdar explaining that she thinks, she has the personal belief, I believe that 3 men are in prison for crimes they didn't commit. She tells folks to go to the website, to look at the evidence, and to make a donation to Arkansas Take Action in hopes that the judge will grant a new trial. Would you agree that that's the gist of the letter from her signature to the top?
Object to the extent that it calls for legal conclusion.
Would you agree that that's the gist of that part of the letter?
I guess.
Is that a
I
yes?
haven't read it.
I want you to read it.
No, as of right now, I hadn't read it.
Oh, then I want you to.
Today.
Well, this is what you hadn't read it till today?
No, I have read it before today, but
Okay.
I hadn't taken the time to read it today.
Okay, I want you to read, and we can go off the record while you do that, so we don't burn up tape. I want you to read from the very top where it says November 26, 2011, a letter from Natalie Maines, down to where she says, sincerely, Natalie Maines passed on.
I've read it in the past.
Do you need to read it again?
I don't even care about it.
You don't care about it. All right. Well, I want you to tell me, sir, isn't the gist of that part of the letter where she basically says that she thinks the boys were wrongfully convicted, that she encourages people to watch the HBO documentaries, to look at the court findings, and then contribute to the defense fund? It's really a call, please get involved. You'll
Objection.
agree that that's the gist of the letter, right?
Same objection.
Yep.
Okay. And then from where it says, sincerely, Natalie Maines, from there down, which will roll over to the last page, second page, those are the 8 bullet points that attempt to summarize what's in the recent court filings and which had been publicized for many weeks and months earlier, correct?
Okay.
Objection.
Don't you
This
agree with that?
characterizes the evidence.
Yep.
Yep, and you may not agree with the characterization, but you'll agree that that's what you may disagree with the conclusions that the evidence points to, but you'll agree that that's what's in the findings, right, or the filings, correct?
Objection. There's no basis, no foundation for
We're
the
going
notion.
objection form. We're not coaching, Ted.
There's no
I will
factual
note your objection to form.
There's no foundation for him having read the pleadings. You cannot get concessions from him what are in or not
You
in
know
the
what?
pleadings when he hasn't
I'm
read them.
About tired of a coaching the witness.
I'm not coaching
Yes,
the witness.
you are. That's exactly what
You
that
haven't
is.
established whether or not he read the
Well, then
pleadings.
object to form and
That's
then
what I
and then
did.
stand by your objection. And if I have a question about which you can enlighten me on, I will
I'm
certainly
going to
ask.
state the basis for my objection.
And not unless I ask. The federal rules say not unless I ask. You object as to form, or you instruct the witness not to answer. And I'm about tired, and I've about had it of you
I'm
coaching
about had
this
it
witness.
with you trying to get concessions about him from a document that he's never read. There's no foundation for the document. It's not valid. I mean, the judge isn't going to say, oh, Mr. Hobbs says it's a public concern, therefore it must be a public concern. It's just,
You know what?
Yeah, I think that the point that Dan is making is that you object as to form, and the witness has to say, I haven't read it, so I don't know. You don't tell him that he hasn't read it, so he knows how to answer.
I'm objecting to the lack of foundation
That's
and
objections
that you
form.
assume facts that aren't evidence.
I know, it's crazy. You'll agree with me, won't you, Mr. Hobbs, that the points that are following Ms. Pasdar's signature are the very points that are in the press release that I showed you earlier, and which were reported in some of the press clippings that I showed you earlier that attempt to summarize some of the defense filings.
Object is to form.
Thank you.
Mischaracterization of a press
Thank you.
release.
I've seen them before.
You've seen them before. And where'd you see them before?
Everywhere.
Everywhere. In the press releases, right?
Right.
In the newspaper, right?
Right.
On the TV,
Right.
in the court filings. Have you
I haven't read
haven't read
that.
the court filings? Okay. On the in the video press, in the press conference.
I didn't really watch it.
But these are the same things they talked about. You know that.
Object is to form. He says he didn't read it. You can't ask him what they say at it if he said he didn't see it.
You know, I'd like to know the factual basis, or the basis on which you think you can say anything more than objection form. Because I'm about ready to seek sanctions from the court, Ted.
Call him up.
You know what, we just may. And so what's the basis for your belief that you can say anything more than objection form or don't answer the
I'm going to
question?
state the factual basis of my
No,
objection.
the rules.
And if you want to do something, then do it.
The rules clearly state that all you can say is objection form. And that if I then have a question about whether or not your objection is to form is proper, then I can ask you to explain. But if you don't, the law and the cases, I think, are fairly clear that you step way over the line of proper advocacy when you start to coach the witness by speaking objections. That's the very reason why the rules were amended.
When you say I'm only supposed to object to form,
Yep.
and then you're trying to dump all this stuff in at some other point, and then you're going to be right there saying, well, he didn't state what his objection is.
Ted, you know, I know Dan is from Texas, but you know the rule in Arkansas is what he's stating. It is any federal judge is going to say object, form, period, and let the deposition continue. You are going overboard. I mean, your record is preserved. Your record is
I'm going to preserve the record,
form.
because when he says that something 15 times that something is a press release to try to get my client to concede that it's a press release when it's not in fact a press release, I'm going to say something about it.
Objection form preserves it, and you know it. You're a good enough lawyer that you know that.
And saying it, whether it is or isn't a press release, is not coaching the witness. It simply isn't. Look at it. It's not a press release.
Are there, I think the record's pretty clear, Mr. Hobbs. I'm okay. From where it says the following is just some of the DNA and forensic evidence that were presented in the federal court hearing. And then it goes through the various eight points. Do you have reason to believe that any of those statements are false?
Any of what statements?
The things that start in late October through the end of this exhibit, are they false?
Object, compound question. You're asking him to get a blanket approval of a long list.
You can answer the question, Mr. Hobbs. And we can take it paragraph by paragraph if you'd like, sir.
Are you asking me if I think any of these statements here are wrong?
Yes.
I would start, you want to do paragraph by paragraph?
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Start-
Damien Eccles was wrongfully convicted.
Okay.
I don't believe that.
Okay. Would you agree with me that the papers that were filed in federal court in Arkansas certainly allege that?
That doesn't mean it's fact, but things like that happen.
Things like what
Object is
happened?
to form, assuming facts not in evidence.
Things like what happened? Wrongfully convicted? People are wrongfully convicted.
No,
aren't
no, people making statements like this.
they? Okay.
Matter of fact, everything has happened in the courts, as you call it. Nothing has changed.
Okay. You would agree with me that the papers that were filed with the federal court in October attempt to establish that Damien Eccles was wrongfully convicted?
Object is to form, lack of foundation.
You know that to be the case from all the press release. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to say that he was wrongfully convicted, give him a new trial, right?
You know what? If you were sitting on death row and it was your time to die and you had a yellow streak running down your back, wouldn't you not come up with any and everything that you could possibly to save your own life?
If I was sitting on death row and didn't do it, I certainly would as well.
Well, you should have sat in the same trial that I sat in, then you probably wouldn't be thinking like that.
So do you think Damien Eccles is not entitled to pursue and exhaust his legal rights, sir?
I think his legal rights should be removed from him from day one after a conviction.
Okay.
But the appeals process allows him to do this kind of stuff right here.
Okay.
which is kind of a system that needs reworked.
Okay. You would agree with me, though, as part of that appellate process, that Mr. Eccles' team, defense team, had made a filing that in October attempted to persuade the judge that he was wrongfully convicted.
They give it their best shot.
They gave it their best shot. Would you also agree that the filing that was made in October included DNA evidence that did not link any of the 3 boys to the crime scene?
Object is to form like a foundation.
Just asking from your understanding, sir.
I've heard that
Okay. You went to the trial, right, every day?
every day.
And you know that the prosecution claimed that Mr. Eccles had sodomized the boys, right?
One of them.
One of them. And none of Mr. Eccles' DNA was found on any of the boys, including the one that was allegedly sodomized, correct?
I believe so.
Okay. Matter of fact, the only DNA that was found on the boys was DNA that couldn't be identified to anyone. Isn't that right?
Okay.
Is that right?
I don't know.
Well, other than yours, of course.
They've never said nothing about mine. This
They-
defense team brought mine up. It wasn't the law. This is what they do.
That's what they filed. They filed it as public record, correct?
Object is to form like a foundation.
I mean, that's your understanding that the defense team made that public filing in an attempt to persuade the judge that the boys were deserving of a new trial, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever spoken with anyone about what was in the habeas corpus filings?
Nope.
Okay.
Not that I know of.
That's fine. I didn't mean to interrupt you, sir. We were going through Exhibit A to Exhibit 2, which is your complaint, and asking you from Ms. Pasdar's signature down what you felt was false, what was set out in there that was false. And I guess we're up to the first bullet point on the second page. And I know from your testimony that you disagree with the fact that DNA tests show that hair belonging to you was found in the ligature of one of the victims. Correct?
I've heard that. I still ain't been convinced that it was.
Okay. You have heard that that was contained in the... even though you have not read, you have heard that that was contained in the filings, correct?
Right.
Object is to
And you
form
have
like a
heard, and you
foundation.
know from reading the various press releases, and not press releases, the press articles, and the TV reports, that that was widely circulated beginning in June of '07. That was widely publicized to the public that your DNA was found in the ligature of one of the victims, correct?
Of course.
Of course. And matter of fact, we looked at the press article, one of the press pieces earlier, where the West Memphis police attributed your DNA being found to secondary transfer, right? That's how they explained it.
Okay.
Isn't that right?
All right.
I mean, that's how they explained it, right? Do you recall when we looked at that press article?
Right.
And in fact, is it really a surprise that they had to do that, Mr. Hobbs, given the fact that they had spent so much money and so much time convicting 3 boys years earlier of that crime, that they said, well, they secondary transferred? Does that surprise you?
Objective to form like a foundation.
What are you saying,
like a
David?
personal knowledge.
I'm asking if it surprised you, given the fact that the West Memphis police had spent so much time and so much money over the years saying they got it right with the convictions, that when DNA attributed to someone else was found in the ligature of one of the victims, that they attributed it to secondary transfer.
What if it was secondary transfer?
What if it wasn't?
What are you saying?
Saying that there could be a question about whether or not you were somehow involved in these crimes.
Well, who says that?
Well,
Bunch of quacks.
Well, we've got 4 volumes of stipulations of people from the New York Times to CNN to 360
Sound like a
that say
bunch
that.
of quacks.
Objection to form false
Why don't you-
characterization of what's in the stipulations.
How do you...
Why don't you call the police department and talk to them? Maybe they'll help you out and point you in the right direction.
How do you explain Mr. Jacoby's statement? I mean, not statement, Mr. Jacoby's DNA, which is
I
the
had
second
no
bullet point.
explanation for that.
Objectives to form
We
like a
was in them
foundation,
woods
like
all
a
night.
personal knowledge.
You were in those woods all night, just you and Mr. Jacoby.
No, we done been over that.
Yes, we
You
have. And so-
forget?
No, I didn't forget. My
Objectives to
question is,
form
were
like
you
a
and Mr.
foundation.
Jacoby in those woods all night?
Along with other people. I thought we done talked about that.
You and Mr. Jacoby, were you guys ever alone when you were searching?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Well, it might have been a while.
Might have been a while that
Yep.
you guys were alone.
Yeah.
And it's your testimony Mr. Jacoby was with you all night in the woods.
We were together quite a bit that night.
No, it's not my question. My question is, you testified earlier that you and Mr. Jacoby were together all night in the woods until it was time for him to go to work.
Exactly.
And so is that
Yeah.
your story, or are you changing it?
No, we were.
All night, you and him together,
Up until he went to work.
which was at what time?
And remember a while ago I testified that he was with Pam at one point?
Who
Did
was
you
with
forget that?
Who was with you when he was with Pam?
Probably her dad.
Okay. So at no point were you alone.
No.
It was either you and Mr. Jacoby or you and Pam's dad.
Or me and Pam and her dad.
Okay. All night. Pam never stayed home. Pam didn't stay.
No,
And
Pam
you didn't go out
stay
by
home.
yourself in the woods.
Objectives
Between,
to form, ask and answer. We went over this earlier today.
did you go out in the woods by yourself between 2 and 6 o'clock?
No,
Have you ever told anybody you did?
no.
The fourth bullet point.
Is it hard to accept the truth?
No, sir. It's
You
not.
don't need to interact with them like that, sir.
All right.
Anything else you want to tell me?
Nope.
You sure?
Positive.
This is your chance.
I'm out of here.
Fourth bullet point, scientific evidence. Some of the nation's leading forensic experts stating the wounds on the victims' bodies were caused by animals at the crime scene, not by knives used by the perpetrators. That was part of the filings in the court proceeding that you're aware of that, right, from reading the press articles?
Objectives to form like foundation of personal knowledge.
That's your understanding, right? You have to answer out loud.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not a secret what's in there. We can all read it. It's right there, right?
exactly. This kind of shoots down the theory that you used a while ago about the knives. You know? Now you got forensics.
You mean the knife? You mean Stevie's knife?
Yeah.
Well, there's a difference between the wounds being caused by knives and someone taking the knife that was on Stevie's body at the time of the murder and having it in their house after the murder.
Objectives to form assumes facts, not in evidence.
Did you take the knife from Stevie?
Years before.
Years before. When did he get the knife?
I don't remember.
You remember how old he was when he got the knife? Years
No, I
before?
don't.
Who gave him the knife? His grandfather?
It's possible.
Well, that kind of gets us to the next bullet point. There were sworn affidavits outlining new evidence by Pam Hobbs about finding the knife, Stevie's knife in Terry's, meaning your drawer, which had been carried by Stevie at all times.
Objectives to form like a foundation.
You have an understanding from the press articles and discussions with folks that evidence was in the federal court filings as well, wasn't it?
To
Okay.
form like a personal knowledge.
Do you have that understanding that was in there?
Yeah.
Okay, and how'd you get that understanding?
Reading the papers.
Reading the papers. You talked to Pam?
Oh, yeah.
You talked to Pam, say, Pam, did Pam tell you, hey, I found Stevie's knife in your drawer, what the heck were you doing with it?
No.
You think that's one of the reasons why Pam thinks you killed Stevie?
No, Pam don't think that.
Pam doesn't think you killed Stevie?
No, sir. Pam knows better.
Well, you've said many times and quoted many times in the press, and it's even in your journal that Pam and the family think that you killed those 3 little boys.
Yeah, when they're mad, they say anything. When they're not mad, they'll tell you the truth.
So it's only when they get mad that they accuse you of triple homicide.
Oh, yeah.
They'll do anything when they get mad.
You have to ask them.
You have a temper?
Huh? I try not to have.
Were you mad when you shot your brother-in-law?
No.
No.
I tried to avoid that.
By sitting out on your car with your gun in the back of your in the
So?
in the belt with 350 with hollow point bullets. Why'd you have the gun
It's my
if
gun.
you were trying to avoid it?
I had called the police twice.
How many guns do you own?
None at the present.
How many did you own back in '93?
2 or 3.
Well, tell me about them. What kinds?
I don't remember.
No, do you recall the type, the millimeter?
357,
What other kind?
25, 9mm.
Okay, any other kind of guns?
No.
What happened to the guns?
Probably the Hickses stole them.
Do you have the guns now?
No.
When do you last recall seeing the guns?
During that time,
During the '93 time frame?
94.
93, 94 time frame? You aware that the police found a gun in the Robin Hood Hills area?
No, I don't care about that.
You recall if it was the same caliber of gun that you just said you had that now you don't know where it is?
No.
No? Would that surprise you that they found a gun with the same?
Don't mean nothing to me.
Don't mean nothing to you?
Nah, don't
Why
mean
not?
nothing. Because it ain't my gun.
And your gun? Where is your gun?
Good. Ask the Hickses. They take stuff.
I'm asking you. Don't you think it's reasonable for a gentleman who carries 3 guns and has shot at least one person to know where their firearms are, Mr. Hobbs?
No.
Did you drop the gun in the woods on the night of
One's
May
in
the
jail.
5th? Did you
And
drop
the
the
other
gun in
two.
the woods on the night of May the 5th?
No, I didn't carry a gun.
Did you have a gun with you on the night of May the 5th?
No.
Did you drop it in the woods on the morning of May the 6th?
Didn't have it with me.
Where was it?
I don't even think. Yeah, I had a gun back then. But
Where
no,
was it?
I couldn't tell you. Probably at home.
Where'd you keep your guns at home?
In a drawers.
What drawers? Where?
I couldn't tell you.
You don't remember where you kept your guns?
One of them in my truck.
Is that the 357?
That's one of them.
Where'd you keep the other? Where'd you keep the 357 other than in your back pocket?
In my truck.
In your truck. So you kept 2 guns in your truck, and where'd you keep the third one?
Probably in the house.
Which one did you keep in the house? The 9mm?
Probably. I don't remember.
Don't remember. When you were out traipsing around West Memphis on the night of May the 5th or May the 6th, were you afraid for your safety at all?
Nope.
Is that because you had a gun?
Didn't have one.
Didn't have one with you? Did you have knives with you that night?
No.
No. We need to go off the record, sir, because the court report, the videographer needs to change tapes.
We're going off record for a tape change at 3:11 p.m.